questions as we go through. And then make sure you comment at the end too. So tonight we're going to be talking about how going green keeps you healthy and saves you money. So we're going to be talking about the new paradigm for healthcare. So our first question is, what is the definition of insanity? So if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you always got, right? And that doesn't mean you're insane, of course, but that's just the chaos that we live in today. Everything's changing around us. There's fear and uncertainty, financial instability, and most of us just don't realize what's happening around us, and we'd certainly fix it if we only knew how, right? We certainly would take action if we knew that some of our daily domestic routines were causing our families harm, like perhaps some of our personal care products or our household cleaners, or perhaps even some of the over-the-counter medications that we're taking. So tonight we're going to break down some long-standing paradigms and show why it's so critical that we not only go green, but that we go beyond green to be healthier, younger, to have more vitality, to be more productive. How about to have some balanced hormones and so much more, so that we can be in health and prosper, as I believe God intended us to. So, our first question, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? Or maybe do you know someone who is? I bet we all know several people who are, right? Do you wish you didn't have to be a slave to the clock or your job? How many of you wish you didn't have to report to a boss? Or do you wish that your spouse didn't have to report to a boss? Did you know, incidentally, boss spelled backwards is double S-O-B? Just saying. Well, Al and I fired our bosses several years ago, and we aren't looking back. At age 37, we own our own lives. We pretty much can go wherever we want, whenever we want. We absolutely love what we do. It's just so amazing that we get to help people every single day. We love to do it. And Young Living actually pays us to help other people and do something we love. So we look forward to Mondays just as much as we do Fridays and Saturdays. We love to help others take control of their health, their time, and their finances as well. So, if money were no object, would you be doing something different with your life? So just take a moment, close your eyes, and try to picture, what would you be doing differently? How would your life be different if you could choose what you wanted to do each day? So we're going to talk about going green and how it keeps you healthy and saves you money, and how Young Living is out in front, how we are setting the standard, and how Young Living has raised the bar for what new healthcare in America is going to look like, and why going green isn't enough. Now, there's a lot of natural products out there that are green and are great at disinfecting and killing germs, but we live in a very toxic world with a lot of toxic synthetic chemicals. They're building up in our homes, in our water, in our food supply. They're building up in our bodies. And most of the green products out there cannot get those out of our bodies. Man made them, they're synthetic. So we need to find something that can go beyond green to get these toxins out of our homes, out of our environment, and out of our bodies. So tonight we're going to talk a lot about the power of understanding not only trends, but paradigms. Now, perhaps you've heard that word before, but didn't quite understand what it meant. So we're going to learn a lot about the word paradigm tonight, and I'm going to share with you many things that we can do, learn, and grow together by perhaps maybe changing some of our paradigms. And the new paradigm for healthcare is Young Living. So paradigms. Paradigms are the boundaries that restrict and define our belief systems. They are the filters through which we hear and process information. Now, an example of this is two people sitting side by side each other in church, and you both hear the same message, and your friend says, "Oh my goodness, that was so boring." And the other said, "Boring? What do you mean? That was life-changing." Well, that's because each individual has a paradigm about what they believe. It's a filter, and everything you hear see, and experience is filtered through that paradigm. So tonight we're going to talk about changing perhaps some of our current paradigms and create new ones to propel us into the future so that we can have hope and confidence. Now, when I say paradigms, some of us in our filter may right away think, paradigms. So, if we hear a word and we're not familiar with how it's spelled, some of us may have thought I was actually talking about a pair of dimes. Now, some people have a paradigm about how they view words written on a page. For instance, here's a phrase. What does it say? So some people might have seen truth is nowhere, right? Some people might have seen truth is now here. So we know who the pessimists and optimists are, right? Well, we have some truth to share with you tonight. The truth is now here, and it's very good news. Now, a master teacher walked the earth a long time ago, and he said, you will know the truth and, yes, the truth will set you free. So hopefully the information we share with you tonight will set you free from perhaps some limiting paradigms that we may have been stuck in. So we're going to talk about those who create new paradigms as being outsiders. They are the ones who think outside the box. They have the ability to step back from a situation and not react on a gut level emotionally because that filter goes off inside. They have the ability to step back and assess the situation and say, let me think about that for a minute. Insiders, however, will fight to the death to keep the status quo. So tonight I encourage you to be an outsider. So to step outside of the box, and let's look at this from a bird's eye view, or maybe from a new filter that you've not yet considered, so that we can change the way we think about healthcare. So here's our paradigm dilemma. So America's biggest health challenge is not in finding the cure. It's also not about getting everyone insured either, but that's a topic for a whole nother class. But we hear a lot about, well, if we could just find the cure, then, everything would be okay, right? But that's not the biggest challenge. The biggest health challenge is this: finding the root cause of disease and eliminating it. You're not going to find a cure until you find the root cause. And of course, once you've eliminated that, you don't need to find anything else, right? Because you're healed. So on this topic of paradigms, we're going to talk about 3 different agencies or areas to begin with. The first one is the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, and they say, trust me, we're here to take care of you. We know what's best for you, and we pass laws to protect you from the very bad things. The second one we're going to look at is Big Pharma, or the pharmaceutical industry. They're part of the huge multi-billion dollar industry. They have their presence on Wall Street. They also have a huge lobbyist organization in Washington, and they're in Congress every single day to influence legislation, especially with the recent healthcare bill. Now, Big Pharma has had a huge hand in that, and they too say, trust me. So I'm sure all of us know that when we go to the doctor and the doctor prescribes a medication, it's coming from Big Pharma. And, most of us know, by the way, that, Big Pharma, the pharmaceutical industry, runs most, if not all, of the medical schools, and they create all the curriculum. Most doctors today have only about 2 hours of nutrition in their entire schooling. So much of the rest of their schooling, they focus on disease management. And as most of us here tonight know, disease management equals drugs. So the third area we're going to look at tonight is the advertisers. You see these people at work all the time. They put up claims and make their promises, and we've all seen it before. We have the best products in the world. Trust me. Really? Well, tonight we're going to check them out. And again, it's not just going to be my opinion because, again, my paradigm may be different from yours. So together we're going to look at this from an out-of-the-box perspective, and we're going to take a very hard look at these 3 areas. So let's look at paradigm 1, the FDA. Now, the FDA tells us if we approve something, that means it's safe. You can take it to the bank, you can put it in your pantry, you can put it in your mouth, and we're going to make sure that it's okay for you. Well, let's look at their record. In 1951, the FDA approved a new medication, acetaminophen. And it did many things, of course, as you all know, including pain relief or when you had a fever. The manufacturer decided to trademark it and call it Tylenol. It's probably in most homes all across America. So Tylenol was approved for safe ingestion in 1951. Now that's over 60 years ago. That's a long time ago. But just 5 years ago in 2009, the FDA said, oops, we made a mistake. There is extensive evidence that liver toxicity caused by acetaminophen may result from a lack of consumer awareness that acetaminophen can cause severe liver injury, says the FDA. Lack of consumer awareness? So whose finger are they pointing at? You. They're saying it's your fault because you didn't know any better. So whose job is it to keep us safe? That's the FDA's job, right? They approved it for safe ingestion in 1951. So how many people over the past 60 years have died from liver disease or are currently on the liver transplant list because they took Tylenol? And we have to remember that these drugs are cumulative in the body. So 60 years is an awful long time to be popping this pill. But did anyone go to jail over this? Did anyone get fired? No, I don't think so, because the FDA says you can trust me. Truth is nowhere in the FDA. Well, let's look at something else they've done. So it says the FDA broke its contract and broke its word that it would put warnings of neurological damage to children and unborn babies if expectant mothers receive amalgam fillings. Bowing to the dental products industry, the FDA, for the first time in its history, pulled label warnings about neurological harm to children. That also was just a little over 5 years ago. So I think the new paradigm is this: FDA approved does not mean safe. We have to realize that every single over-the-counter drug or every single over-the-counter or every prescription medication that has been taken off the market because of severe side effects or because of deaths was once approved as safe by the FDA. Okay, let's look at another paradigm. Big Pharma, the pharmaceutical companies. Now, what are they telling us? They too say, trust me, medical science is looking for the cure, and we can see this everywhere. We can see the ribbons, and people have them on their cars and their license plates now. Every month there's a different cancer they're collecting money for in the grocery stores, or there's a marathon, a race for the cure. Then there's all this research going on. And that sounds well and good. And most people in their paradigm, in their filter, have believed this because they said, trust me. Now, Al and I used to be huge supporters of the races and all these other campaigns until we started researching this topic for ourselves. And we wouldn't say this unless we had extensive documentation to share. So let's look at the facts. Now remember, we're thinking and looking outside the box, looking down on history. We're going to look at the years 2006, 2007, and 2008. And according to these statistics taken from the National Cancer Institute website, this is the amount of money in millions that was spent in just these 3 years alone for the various 12 different kinds of cancer research. So add these all up, and this is more than $5.6 billion. That's billion with a B, in just those 3 years alone on cancer research. And yet today, there are more cancers and mutated cancers existing now than 50 years ago. Now, one of the major arguments, and people might say, well, there's better detection, better diagnostics, there's more people, and there's a lot of things that your filter may tell you. Did you know that cancer research has been going on since the 19th century? The first organized campaign to collect money for cancer research began in the late 1800s. Now that's over 120 years ago. So just think about it. This is the money that's been collected over 120 years. $5.6 billion in the last 3 years alone. Can you fathom how much has been collected over 120 years? That number must be somewhere in the trillions. I can't fathom that number. So do you think in all this time and with all these trillions and trillions of dollars that we might have found at least one cure? No. Why is that? Now, there's actually many books, papers, and scientific research published on this very topic, but you have to know where to look because they're seemingly well hidden. So here's two great resources. The first book is Suzanne Somers' Knockout, and she has interviews with doctors who are curing cancer. And it's got a wonderful foreword. Now, Suzanne Somers, for those of you who didn't know, had cancer, and her doctors here in the U.S. recommended the typical treatments. She didn't feel that she would do well or possibly even survive on those treatments, so she had to go looking elsewhere. And now she is cancer-free, and she didn't use any of the traditional things that most people in America are very familiar with. Another really great book is Cancer Free, Your Guide to Gentle Non-Toxic Healing, Bill Henderson, and another foreword by another traditional medical doctor. So Bill Henderson, in this book, he doesn't make money off of anything that he mentions in his book. And he mentions how to address cancer very effectively in just $5.15 a day. And this isn't to say that there's any simple answers to this. I believe it's a very complex problem. And there's many different issues. But it's just to give people an awareness that there could be other options or things that can help boost our health. So we have Dr. Lin. He is one of the foremost cancer researchers on essential oils in the world today. And he has several articles published in PubMed, especially on frankincense and cancer. And he just put this out a couple days ago. He said, with current cancer statistics, 1 in every 2 people in the U.S. will be diagnosed with cancer, and 1 in every 4 people will die from cancer. This deadly disease will hit every home very soon. It will be too late to start searching for remedies after cancer strikes. Science will not be fast enough to do any help at all. I realize that federal government has zero interest in this type of remedy after submitting a total of 14 proposals to all levels of government funding agencies. I personally hope that anyone who is interested in seeing essential oil projects to pull through to help family members and friends can make contribution to continue the projects. So he started the REO. He and others are working with that group to take donations to help fund this research, because the government has not wanted to fund any of this research, and to do so takes extensive amount of money and to go through all the trials. Dr. Lin, Dr. Suhail, and others have found very promising results that they have documented in very scientific studies that are published in PubMed, that frankincense goes in and it has an intelligence. It goes in and targets cancer cells and leaves all the other healthy cells alone. So this is just one other cancer researcher's perspective on this topic. Then we have our very own Dr. David Stewart. He works extensively with Young Living. He is the author of The Chemistry of Essential Oils Made Simple, The Healing Oils of the Bible, and he started the Center for Aromatherapy Research and Education. So he is one of he is the head of the international training on Raindrop and so much more. His wife, Lee, has recently battled stage 4 breast cancer, and he just published an article in the Raindrop newsletter. So I highly encourage everyone to go to raindroptraining.com, search in the newsletter archives, and the most latest one, he addresses his wife's successful protocol for stage 4 breast cancer. And he recommends these 4 specific books: Killing Cancer, Not People, What's Your Body Telling You, and Outsmart Your Cancer. And so those are there for you to look up later. So in Dr. Stewart's article, I just wanted to take this little snapshot. It says, he said, there are literally dozens of natural and alternative cancer therapies that have worked for many, which are non-toxic. Most are more effective than conventional medical approaches, but the FDA AMA, American Cancer Association, and drug companies don't want anyone to know that. Hence, there has been a vigorous campaign sponsored by the U.S. government, medical societies, cancer funding associations, hospitals, and pharmaceutical companies to discredit and repress information on any kind of successful cancer treatment outside the big three: chemo, radiation, and surgery. They don't want you to know that the success rates for these three are less than 5%, meaning that less than 1 out of 20 cancer patients receiving these medical procedures are still alive and cancer-free after 5 years. Virtually all of the natural and alternative treatments for cancer have better success rates than that, some with 90 to 98% rates of success, depending on the kind of therapy and the kind of cancer involved. Read the above mentioned books to learn more. Don't expect your doctor to know about these resources or to recommend them when they do know. They will lose their license to practice medicine if their state or provincial medical board hears that they are recommending or encouraging cancer therapies outside of the big three for their patients. So this was a really great, extensive, and detailed article by Dr. Stewart about what he and his wife just went through. So I highly, encourage you to go in there and read that. So the new paradigm is there is no money in curing disease. If you really think about it, with all the diseases are out there, have you ever heard of a cure for any disease? Just one from the modern, the Western medical society. Heart disease, diabetes, hypothyroidism. If you think about it, they really have no cures for disease in Western medicine. So we're not suggesting that you do or do not do any specific protocols, but this is just to perhaps give you more resources to start doing more of your own research. So now I would like to introduce you to material safety data sheets. Now, during my 6 years as an active duty lieutenant and captain in the United States Air Force, I served as a logistics officer and spent a lot of time in supplies for aircraft, supplies for the various organizations on base, and I even dealt with a lot of with the fuel for the aircraft. So we worked with a lot of hazardous material. I was the safety officer as one of my additional duties, and it was my job to make sure that that my troops were kept safe, and that included maintaining the material safety data sheets for every single chemical we used and stored on base. So I'm very familiar with material safety data sheets. Now, a material safety data sheet is required by law whenever you have a drug or a chemical, particularly a hazardous drug or chemical involved, and it gives you the toxicity of that drug or chemical. Now, there are hundreds of thousands of material safety data sheets because man has created hundreds of thousands of toxic chemicals, and you can find them for yourself online. So if you Google search MSDS and the name of a chemical you want to look up, you'll find these here. And so we want to go through a couple of these tonight. Most of our team and most of you guys are really on the ball. You guys know to start looking at labels. And sometimes we just think that because it's on our store shelves, because it's, in the cleaning aisle at our commercial store, or, it's on the store shelf that, the FDA approved it, so it must be safe. And so in our paradigms, that's sometimes what we might believe. But we need to realize that what's on the label is important. And so by showing you and teaching you about the material safety data sheets, I'm hoping that we can all start going and looking at some of these, going into our homes and looking at the ingredients in a lot of the products that we have in our homes, and then going into our friends' homes and teaching them how to look up the toxic chemicals as well. So we've selected a few of the mainstream products that can be found in homes all across America. So our first one tonight is on Aleve. And, it says it's a pain reliever and fever reducer. It lasts 12 hours. I'm going to call your attention to right there on the box, it says, on the front of the box, it says naproxen. Now, this isn't the only ingredient, but it's right here on the front, and it's the primary or active ingredient in Aleve. Now, that's the powerhouse that does all the work. It kills the pain, it masks the symptoms. Now we have to remember that none of these that we're going to talk about are going to cure you because, again, there's no money in curing disease, right? If Aleve cured you, you'd only buy it one time and then the manufacturer would go out of business, right? So let's take a bird's eye view and look at the active ingredient. Now, there's a lot of bad ingredients in these products, but let's just look at naproxen here for Aleve. So what does the MSDS say about naproxen sodium? All right, let's see what it says here. Hazardous in case of ingestion. How are we supposed to take Aleve? I'm pretty sure we're supposed to take that orally, right? But thankfully it's only slightly hazardous in case of skin contact. So when we're taking it out of the container and putting it into our mouth, that's only slightly hazardous, but it's hazardous when we put it in our mouth and swallow it. So if you look down to the special remarks, it says may cause adverse reproductive effects and birth defects. Humans, passes through the placenta. Ingestion, harmful if swallowed, can cause gastrointestinal tract irritation with nausea, thirst, abdominal discomforts, cramps, constipation, heartburn, anorexia, colitis, flatulence, may affect behavior. Insomnia, fatigue, sleep disorders, dream abnormalities, inability to concentrate. How many of you know of people who have brain fog? They can't think straight. You know, how many of us, just don't think twice about popping an Aleve? Mental depression. How many people are on antidepressants? Edema, congestive heart failure. You mean I'm popping a pill just because I got a little bit of pain and it can cause my heart to stop and I could die? Palpitations, visual and hearing disturbances, blood problems. Prolonged or repeated ingestion may affect the kidneys, liver, behavior, central nervous system, metabolism. How many people are overweight these days? Could it be that it's from some of our over-the-counter medications? Again, this is just one ingredient in this box of Aleve. This is FDA approved. So let's look at the next one. This one is kind of near and dear to my heart. This is Zantac. Before this was approved as an over-the-counter medication, my daughter, our oldest daughter, when she was only 5, we had to see a specialist for her because she had reflux or a lot of pain that I believe was diagnosed as reflux. And we went through a whole GI series with her, and the doctor said, yep, she's got an issue and she needs to be on adult prescription strength antacids for life. And I believe it was Zantac or Prevacid. It was one of those that used to require a prescription medication, and it's since gone over the counter. But so this one's near and dear to my heart. This is Zantac. What do we take it for? Kind of reflux or heartburn, it says right there on the front of the box. The active ingredient is ranitidine. So let's look at its toxicology. So we type in ranitidine, MSDS-ranitidine, and this is what comes up. It's toxic to animals, may cause damage to the following organs: blood, liver, urinary system. Hazardous in case of skin contact, of ingestion, of inhalation. Again, how are we supposed to take Zantac? Okay, so may cause adverse reproductive effects. How many people are, and it says that it affects female fertility. How many do we know that can't have babies? How many of our friends and family members are going to see fertility specialists? It's excreted in human milk. May cause digestive tract irritation. Isn't that what Zantac is for? We already have an issue with our digestive tract. May affect behavior, blood, cardiovascular system, urinary system, liver. So, of course, we're not going to see this on the label. We have to look outside of our paradigm and look at the material safety data sheet. Now let's look at Benadryl. The main ingredient here is diphenhydramine hydrochloride. Now there's a lot more danger in this box, but we're just going to look again at just this one main ingredient, and this one is really serious business. This one says, for allergy relief, sneezing, itchy watery eyes, runny nose, itchy throat. I know so many people who have allergies who take this on a daily basis. So let's look at this. It says extremely hazardous in case of eye contact. It's an irritant. Very hazardous in case of ingestion, of inhalation. Hazardous in case of skin contact. Look at this. Carcinogenic effects. What is a carcinogen? classified 2, meaning it's reasonably anticipated by the National Toxicology Program. So a class 2 carcinogen means it has been proven to cause cancer in animals. Now, the National Toxicology Program and the Department of Health and Human Services say that these substances should be regarded as carcinogenic to humans. So this is, by their definition, a cancer-causing agent. And oh, by the way, the Department of Health and Human Services, that's a department of our federal government, a department that oversees the FDA that's supposed to be taking care of us. This is exactly why we've got to start questioning the paradigm of what we believe. So, according to the MSDS and the National Toxicology Program, those who are taking Benadryl are ingesting cancer into their bodies. And as you look on the special remarks at the bottom, chronic effects on humans, embryotoxic and fetotoxic. Some pretty serious stuff. Now let's look at Synthroid. This one too is near and dear to my heart. We picked one prescription drug because this was one of the 13 different prescription medications that I used to take and that my doctors had told me that I would be on for life as well. Now, you've probably seen a lot of the pharmaceutical ads on TV that say, don't take if you have X condition, may cause all these side effects, and they talk so fast your brain can't even process everything they're saying. It's pretty brilliant marketing because who really pays attention to that anyway, right? Now, if you look closely at the side effects of many of these prescription drugs, one of the side effects is suicidal ideations or death, and that's pretty serious business. You know, tonight we're just going to look at one prescription medication, that's Synthroid. It's the #1 prescribed drug for hypothyroidism. Now again, I am not here to diagnose, prescribe, or treat. I am not here to to tell anyone to stop taking their prescription medications. I want to be very clear about that. I am just here to enlighten people about perhaps a new paradigm that maybe we need to start taking a little bit more personal responsibility for what we put into our temples, because it could possibly be that we might just be causing our own disease and death. Now this is Abbott Laboratories data sheet. If you look in there, it says talc. That is a byproduct of asbestos. Asbestos is outlawed because it's a known carcinogen. It's illegal, yet it comes in different forms under different names. But beware, if you're taking Synthroid, it does have a byproduct of asbestos in it. Now, if you look in the left-hand column, you see all the different prescription strengths in numbers and micrograms. And if you look in the right-hand column, it says all these different color additives. You might see, the F, D, and C, and then the D and C. Now, F, D, and C stands for food, drugs, and cosmetics. D and C means that it's approved as safe for drugs and cosmetics, but not for food. So if it says F, D, and C, it's approved for use in food. D and C says it's only safe for drugs and cosmetics, but not food. So if you look all the way at the bottom, now some of them have it, but the 300 microgram strength says D and C yellow, and several other things in there as well. Now, it's got a color dye in there that's not even approved to be used in food, yet they put it in our prescriptions. Now, we've got to remember, we're taking these prescription drugs every single day. We're putting these food dyes in our bodies every single day. Now, why do we even use food dyes? Do you even know? In our prescription medications, why would they have all these colorings in them? Well, I was kind of curious to know too. And so it's because I know when I was on Synthroid, they had to keep adjusting my dose because it was never effective. It never worked. So they kept having to raise my dose and lower my dose and raise my dose and lower my dose. Well, it can get kind of confusing if it was all the same color pill. So the different doses have different colors. So the pharmacists and the patients know what dosage each one of those are. Now, another thing I was kind of angry about, just as I get on my soapbox, but it says confectioner sugar. Now, I don't chew Synthroid. I personally, just pop it in my mouth and swallow it when I used to take it. Why is there sugar in there? Sugar has been known to shut down the immune system and so many other things. Why is that even in there? So anyway, just a little bit about Synthroid. Again, I'm not here to tell you not to take your prescription medications, but it's good to know what's in there. So let's look a little bit more at these FD&C cosmetic dyes. They're actually FDA approved drugs. They should actually probably be spelled DIES, because that could actually happen if we put enough of these chemicals into our bodies. So here are just some of these FDA approved dyes from the FDA summary, and just some of the things that these dyes can cause. Not that they will, but that they can. So red, number 2, hives, bronchial constriction, itching, burning rashes linked to cancer, a food dye. Look at all the things at the bottom of the screen that these food dyes are in. How many of these things do you eat? How many of these things do our kids or our grandkids eat, or our nieces or our nephews? Red, number 3, thyroid tumors, chromosome damage, neurochemical and behavior effects. How many of our kids are being put on behavioral medications these days? What might you find in most kids' lunches? Stuff that's red, blue, yellow, green. What about all their candies, their drinks? Red, number 4, anaphylactic reactions can affect all body systems. Red, number 33 and 40, these are some of the most popular ones. They contain mercury and lead, which are autism triggers. Autism's on the rise big time these days. What are our kids eating? Causes tumors and lymphomas. Chromosome damage, hyperactivity. These two are the most widely consumed. Yellow, number 5 and 6 cause chromosome damage, kidney and thyroid tumors, lymphomas, triggers for allergies and asthma, hives, eczema, insomnia, hyperactivity, aggression, violent behavior. It's banned in Norway. It's found in Motrin, yellow number 6, that is. What was it that we had, Elle, that we didn't even realize? The lentils or the? We trying to get healthier. I was looking up different things that we could eat, and I was looking into lentils and things like mung beans. And so we picked up some mung beans from the store. And I was, and I think I'm pretty well educated. I know to read labels, but I never even thought to look for dyes in my mung beans. And so one day I was looking at the package for maybe a different way to cook them. And I found on there, on the package, I have it right here in front of me, it says FD&C yellow number 5. I'm like, why do I care what color my mung beans are? I'm eating it for health, not because of what they look like. So, it just goes to show that even some of the things, my paradigm was that health foods don't contain anything unhealthy in them. So, even my paradigm shifted when I looked at that. Green number 3 causes bladder tumors, banned in European communities, yet it's still fine here in the United States. Blue number 1 and 2 cause brain tumors, chromosome damage, allergies. Blue number 1 is banned in France and Finland. Blue number 2 is banned in Norway. So truth is nowhere in the FDA. So let's look at the next one. Children's Motrin. Look at the ingredients here. It has FD&C red 40, D&C yellow number 10, polysorbate 80. That's another good one. If you want to look up MSDS, look up polysorbate 80. Sucrose. Why is there sugar? If your kid is sick, sugar suppresses the immune system. Why would you want to be suppressing it further if their immune system is already suppressed? Now, just in my own family, I don't think that my children really care what color their health thing is that's going to make them feel better. So why are they putting these drugs and these dyes that cause significant harm in our baby products? A lot of prescription medications, as I mentioned before, have all these different dyes: antihistamines, corticosteroids, antibiotics, pain medications, even prenatal vitamins. What are we doing to our unborn babies? I've talked with a couple doctors who get so frustrated that some people, not only does it cause adverse responses in people, but some people have very severe reactions to all these different dyes. And a lot of doctors can't even prescribe prescription medications to their patients because of all these dyes and these toxic things that cause their patients harm. So it says colorants linked to ADHD and changing the neurochemistry of our brains, proven by 3 decades of studies in Europe. How come Europe knows this and America doesn't? In 2009, worried about the link between artificial dyes and hyperactivity and cancer, Great Britain asked food companies to stop using artificial dyes in food. Today, companies like Kellogg's and Kraft no longer use artificial dyes in their UK products. Whoa, that's pretty cool. Look at the two products on the left. It's Nutri-Grain bars. The one on the left says that's the United States one, and it has red number 40 and some yellow and blue in there. Look at the one on the right. That's from the UK, and it has natural food colorings in it. Why can't we have that here? Here's two versions of the Kraft macaroni and cheese. In the US, we have yellow 5 and yellow 6 that cause behavior and other issues. In the UK, they said, nope, can't be in our products. So guess what? They don't put it there. M&Ms in the UK, in Europe, don't have any toxic dyes in them. Here in the US, they do. So that is about FDA approved dyes. So our next area, our third area, so advertisers are required to tell the truth, right? So they can't say something on TV that isn't true, right? The FDA or the FCC would surely shut them down, right? Well, I'm sure you know there's no requirement to tell the truth, but you've already figured that out. So here's our first product. It's Greenworks. Now, when I first started, going on my green trend, I thought this was a very good product, and this is what we used in our home. Now, surely this is a product we can trust, right? The name says it all. Greenworks, all natural green, safe for children and pets. So it says, I got this off their website. It says, where green meets clean. You only want what's best for your family, and we do too. That's why our all-purpose cleaner is made from high-quality ingredients that's at least 97% naturally derived. So that sounded pretty good to me. Colorant, like any natural ingredient, natural dyes do have a shelf life. That's why we use a very small amount of synthetic colorant, less than 0.1%, to our products for a bit of color. Ladies, do you care what color your cleaning products are? I don't know about you, but I sure don't. So, fragrance with essential oils. Natural fragrances can go bad over time. Really? Essential oils, when they're processed properly, don't. Which is why our products contain synthetic fragrances with oils extracted from plants that leave behind a clean, fresh scent. Preservative, like anything that's natural, the natural cleaning ingredients in our products can go bad over time. That's why we added a small amount of preservative, less than 0.5%, to keep our products fresh and effective. So I think most of us in the essential oil community know that the oils that were found in King Tut's tomb had all their healing properties, and they didn't go bad. So I think that right there shows that if the essential oils can, survive since King Tut's time, our products today can do the same if they're processed properly. So here it's saying that this is mostly like 97% naturally derived. Sounds phenomenal. Sounds pretty safe, right? And it's only a tiny bit of stuff that's not good for us, right? Well, let's look at the MSDS. So you type in MSDS and Greenworks. So the advertiser is saying all natural green, safe for children and pets. And guess what? Our kids and our grandkids are saying, Mom, Grandma, did you read the material safety data sheet? Well, let's look it up. Type in MSDS and Greenworks. Now this is where I think the problem lies. It comes from the Clorox company. Now, that doesn't mean to say that there's bleach in the products. That's, the Clorox company makes Clorox bleach, or chlorine bleach. And chlorine bleach is outlawed in Germany. It's absolutely forbidden because it is so deadly toxic over there. And again, I'm not saying that there's chlorine bleach in Greenworks, but it's made by the same company. So they really don't have a big concern about our health as much as they do for the market share. Remember, the trend is going green, and I believe that this company is just interested in their share of the markets. Because look at this. It says eye irritant may cause skin irritation, spill procedures, absorb and containerize. Wash residual down to sanitary sewer. Contact the sanitary treatment facility in advance to assure ability to process washdown material. So ladies, before you clean and before, when you have your rags, before you can put them in the laundry, you have to call your sanitary facility and say, hey, can you handle that? Because I'm going to, flush some, deadly toxic stuff down there from my all safe and natural green product here. And skin contact, rinse with plenty of water. If irritation persists, call a doctor. Well, it's 97% pure. That's good stuff, right? How could it cause skin irritation? Inhalation, move person to fresh air. If breathing problems develop, call a doctor. Why would breathing problems develop? So it says hygienic practices. Wash hands after direct contact. Do not wear product contaminated clothing for prolonged periods. Well, how long is a prolonged period? So does that mean that I have to clean my house and I can only clean for maybe 30 minutes and then I have to go change clothes, and then before I can, wash those clothes, I have to call up the sanitation facility? Engineering controls. It says use local exhaust to minimize exposure to product mist. So ladies, before you can clean your house with this, you have to open all the windows and the doors in your house, and you have to have the ventilation system on to make sure that you're not breathing it in and it's ventilated properly so that you and your kids and your babies aren't breathing this in. Now, personal protective equipment. Wear safety glasses. Wear rubber or neoprene gloves if there is a potential for repeated or prolonged skin contact. So ladies, how often do you clean your house? I'm sure most of us do that fairly regularly. In situations where exposed limits may be exceeded, a NIOSH approved respirator is advised. So I see us cleaning our house with Greenworks like I did in the military, like full chem gear. Can you picture Darth Vader? Can you imagine yourself with full protective gear cleaning your house with this all green natural clean product? Again, we're not going to find that on the label. Let's move on to the next one. So here we have Flintstones vitamins, the #1 pediatrician's choice. Why do I say that? Well, it's right there on the label. Now, I think if you ask any, respectable pediatrician, they'd say, I don't know what you're talking about. Or then again, maybe they're deceived too. But the symptoms from taking these vitamins could include allergies, thyroid tumors, trigger for asthma, hives, hyperactivity, chronic runny nose, kidney tumors, digestive troubles, bronchial stress, brain tumors, heavy metal deposits in the brain, Alzheimer's disease, 92 diseases, including seizures. So how do I know this? Aluminum, aspartame, and FDA-approved dyes. It's all right there on the label. All of which, according to the material safety data sheet, can cause all of these symptoms in the human body. And in little children, these things can be especially significant. So truth is nowhere in this advertising. So here comes our media mogul again, but we're going to bust this paradigm with our Kids Sense Mighty Vites. And you can look all day, but you're not going to find any MSDS on Mighty Vites or their ingredients. These children's vitamins have some wonderful plant-based ingredients, life-giving essential oils in them. Even the elderly can use them. A lot of the elderly have a difficult time swallowing regular vitamins. They're often given Flintstones vitamins, and some of those people are now on seizure medications. Well, you follow the dotted line on that one. Many elderly people have been able to switch to these safe and non-toxic chewables. Our kids love Mighty Vites, and even our 4-year-old, even when she was like 2 and 3, she would, come to us and say, Mighty Vites, Mighty Vites, Vites. So they make sure that they get their Mighty Vites every day. So truth is now here. So here we have this safe and supposedly non-toxic natural toothpaste from the health food store. So when I learned that fluoride was a poison and that it was in a lot of our toothpaste and it was in our water, I did whatever I could a long time ago when I first started researching all this to get the fluoride out of our home. And so that was one of the first things that I sought out. Quick and easy fix. I went to the health food store and got a toothpaste without fluoride. So on the front it says pure, natural, and organic, all natural on the front. But then on the back it has this poison control warning label on it. It says, keep out of the reach of children under 6 years of age. If you accidentally swallow more than used for brushing, seek professional assistance or contact the Poison Control Center immediately. Why is there a Poison Control Center warning label on my natural toothpaste? So as you can see, it says no fluoride, no preservatives, no animal byproducts, no animal testing. So what is it that they're not telling us in this product that we need to be careful of poisoning if we have any more than just a little bit. And again, we have to realize that these toxins are accumulating in our bodies. So truth is not even everywhere in just the natural health food stores. So I'm very thankful that with Young Living, we have a whole lot of different options, safe and natural. And there's no poison control warning labels on any of the Young Living toothpaste. They even have a mouthwash. And I love that, we can use our toothpaste as deodorant. So I love that I can save a lot of money. I have one product. The Dentrone Plus is my favorite to use for toothpaste and deodorant. So I'll just put a little bit under my arms, and when we're traveling, all I have to take is one product. The Thieves mouthwash, there's a protocol for lice, actually, that is very effective at killing lice. And we've had several people on our team, some of whom had tried several rounds of the toxic stuff that burnt their kids' scalps, and their kids screamed in pain, and the lice kept coming back. And then we used a protocol from Young Living with a couple essential oils in the Thieves mouthwash, and it dealt with it right away. It didn't hurt the kids. The kids smelled great. They were breathing in essential oils. So I love how a lot of our products, we can originally get them for one thing, save a lot of money that way, and they double in other ways as well. So we end up saving a lot of money. So here we have Glade air freshener with natural aromatherapy. Now, I'm sure you've seen plugins in the walls and the canisters, and of course, all these companies are following the aromatherapy trend. Everybody's into essential oils now. The companies are cashing in on all the scientific research that's been done specifically on therapeutic grade essential oils, which again is very different from about 98 to 99% of the aromatherapy products that you're going to find in the marketplace. And all of these, or most of these, are going to be adulterated. They add chemicals to them. They do all sorts of things to increase profits for themselves without caring whatsoever about what they're doing to our health. So these advertisers, they say, trust me, it will make your house smell heavenly, soothing, relax. Well, let's look at the MSDS for Glade air freshener. So, can cause immediate injury to lung tissue. Aren't these supposed to be for breathing in? So inhaling vapors of hydrocarbon propellants may produce simple asphyxiation. Good thing it wasn't complex, with symptoms such as dizziness, disorientation, headache, excitation. A case of ventricular tachycardia, or racing heart, in a well child has been associated with accidental exposure to all these different propellants. So this is our Glade air freshener and other propellants. So truth is nowhere when it comes to advertising. So here comes our paradigm buster. Mighty YL has come to save the day, and he brings us fabulous diffusers with the everyday oils. For me personally, and for our family, with nothing but these everyday oils in our medicine cabinet, we've been able to replace a lot of our other toxic products. Now, I'm not saying that you can or that you should, but with everything that they have to offer, I've seen a lot of symptoms disappear as root causes are addressed. A lot of these toxic chemicals could be the cause of so many of our issues, and we're not putting a bunch of poisonous chemicals into our bodies anymore. So here's some Johnson & Johnson's baby products, and a lot of new moms get these as part of beautiful gift baskets, right? From well-meaning friends and family, even from the hospital. Well, by reading the labels and following the dotted line to the material safety data sheet, you're going to find that baby oil is actually petroleum. The baby powder has talc, which again is a byproduct of asbestos, which we discussed earlier when we talked about Synthroid, and there's sodium lauryl sulfate in the lotion. That's another one to look up for you to look up in the material safety data sheet. Look up sodium lauryl sulfate, and then go into your shower and see what products sodium lauryl sulfate are in, or sodium laureth sulfate. It's an engine degreaser. So are these products good for our babies? I don't think so. So here comes Mighty YL again, or we're actually going to talk about another product first. I thank Cherie for giving us this one. She talked about this a couple weeks ago in her Kids Sense class. Here's another, look at the front of the bottle, herbal product. It's tear free. That's a big tip off. When you see tear free, there usually something is in there that is a red flag for us. So it says coloring and fragrance free, pH balanced, hypoallergenic. But look at the back. Look at the ingredients. Again, look up sodium laureth again, and a lot of parabens, polyquaternium 10, disodium EDTA. When you guys have some time, I highly encourage you to go look those up in the material safety data sheets. So here we have Mighty YL to save the day. So I'm so thankful that we have a whole line of KidSense products. We have shampoos and body wash and even toothpastes, things that are very, very safe. And I've used just about all of them on every single one of my kids, and even from the time of birth on many of our children. I love that Young Living has a whole line of products for any age. We have some wonderful shampoos and conditioners at the top. And you're not going to find any harmful ingredients that are found on the material safety data sheets in any of our products. So truth is now here. So there's our Pine Sol woman, and she says that's the power of Pine Sol, baby. Now my mom used to clean the house with Pine Sol, and I used to think this house smelled so wonderful. I loved coming home to a clean, or to the smell of our home. That was the smell of clean back then. But now I honestly, I cannot stand the smell anymore. In fact, I can't even go near the cleaning aisle in the grocery store anymore. It literally makes me sick. I start getting a headache right away. Now, if you're a clean and fairly non-toxic person, kind of like I am for the most part now, then even the smell alone gives a lot of us now a headache. So, you know, most or many people think it's safe for their children and their families because it smells like the outdoors. However, we now have our Thieves Woman, and she replaces the toxic cleaners, all of the different toxic products in our home, we can replace with just the Thieves. So we've taken everything pretty much from underneath our kitchen sink and our bathroom sink, and we have been able to replace it with one single one-stop green clean for our entire home. So we use it to clean our produce. This morning we went out and went shopping, and we brought a ton of fresh produce home. And so the first thing that we do, our kids know to fill up the kitchen sink with water, and we pour just a tiny amount of the Thieves Household Cleaner in there, perhaps maybe a capsule full or a cap full or so, and we just let our fruits and veggies soak for maybe 20 or 30 minutes, and we're convinced that it can go in and address any harmful petrochemicals or the waxes they put on it, or any of the harmful germs that have been found on our foods lately, any of the sprays and the toxic chemicals that they're spraying on our food now. So we're very thankful that we've taken all the clutter out from underneath our kitchen and bathroom sinks, and we also have a lot of kids. So I don't want my kids being able to go and get into these, because that could be very lethal. And I love that my mom uses this too, so I don't have to worry about my kids even going over to my mom's house, because they're not going to be getting into any of this as well. So this, like I mentioned, has saved us a lot of money. So Al is going to, most of you know that Al is our numbers guy, so he's going to just talk about how it saved us money and how we use just a tiny amount in our home.
Well, with the household cleaner itself, as you know, there's the 14.4 ounces in just the small little concentrate, and when you do the math, you know, at roughly $20 for that bottle, we get 14 dosings out of that concentrate. So we can make, with that $20, we can make 14 and a half 32-ounce spray bottles of household cleaner to clean the house. So, I mean, just for $1, you know, $1 and some change is a far cry cheaper than any, you know, 409 or Windex or anything like that. And we don't need multiple products. We can use it on just about everything around here in the house.
Thank you, dear. So we use it in our laundry. So what a lot of us do is we put vinegar. White vinegar is phenomenal for many things, and we alluded to it a little bit in the beginning, how It's a green product, and it's very cheap, and it's non-toxic, and it's great for killing some of the germs, but it can't go in and get at the man-made chemicals. So for general killing power and cleaning power, we will fill up our dishwasher to the fill line, or just below the fill line of where we would normally put the dishwasher liquid or the powder. So we would fill that up to almost the fill line with the white vinegar, and then we'd put just a tiny little splash of the Thieves Household Cleaner in it. Then we do the same with our laundry. Instead of using toxic chemicals in our laundry detergent, we fill up to the fill line like we normally would with the toxic products that we used to use. We fill it to the line, almost to the line, with white vinegar, and then we add just a little bit of Thieves Household Cleaner, and we feel that that's going to get anything, the harsh chemicals or the superbugs that perhaps the vinegar is not going to get. So it's a super cheap and very economical and safe way to go. This has saved our family so much time and money. Of course, we do a lot of loads of laundry a day, but many other families are notice a lot of cost savings as well. So kind of wrapping this all up, are our homes making us sick? So what are the challenges we face? Well, again, we have household cleaners, air fresheners, which are found in 75% of American homes, and even the candles, creams, lotions, perfumes, shampoos, toothpaste, deodorants, antibacterial products. These are just some of the many areas that you may wish after we have this presentation, you might want to go look in these products. If you get them from a traditional store, go look and see if there's any toxic chemicals in them. So many of them, most of them on the market are having toxic ingredients in them. I'm glad that we have a whole line of Young Living products, and we've been able to replace almost all of these things, if not all of these things, with safe and natural products from our own Young Living store. So bioaccumulation, we talked about how these things are building up in our bodies. Many of the toxins in our homes are petroleum or lipid based. They enter through our mouth, nose, and skin. Because it's synthetic or man-made, we don't have the capacity to metabolize or break them down. So it gets bioconcentrated into our fatty tissues. Multiple exposures, it begins to bioaccumulate. So toxins can be present in other organisms within our food chain. Humans, as most of us know, are at the end of the food chain or the top of the food chain. Those toxins can biomagnify within our tissues. So here we have a great example. So here we have, toxic exposure after toxic exposure can bioaccumulate and fill our bucket until we reach our toxic threshold. So have you ever seen people who, you look at that lady who can eat everything and, never gain weight, or people say, oh, I can eat whatever I want and never get fat, or I can, do whatever I want and I never get sick. Well, it's possible that their toxin load could be building up. Our bodies are magnificent. We are fearfully, wonderfully made, and we can handle a great deal pretty well. But at one point, it could come to a point, if our bodies can't handle it, where we can just have one more thing that sets us over the edge. And this can be when symptoms appear, or worse, perhaps we're diagnosed with a disease. So are our homes making us fat? Well, humans have been gaining weight for the past 150 years, with a precipitous weight gain in the past 30 years. So this trend isn't only observed in humans, but it's also in our pets, our domesticated animals, lab animals, and even in urban rats. Previously we thought, it's because that person has a poor diet. They don't exercise. But when you have weight gain in multiple organisms, it can't any longer be explained away that way. We have to look at environmental causes. So what are these environmental obesogens? I think we all recognize the root word like obesity, right? Obesogens are any substance that stimulates the formation of fat cells in a synthetic way. Overexposure to antibiotics in our food supply causes unnecessary disruption to our microbiome balance. So we have got good bacteria in there. Antibiotics means against life, right? So it kills the good bacteria along with the bad bacteria. We also have endocrine disruptors that affect our metabolic pathways, especially our thyroid gland. Often these things are not found on a lot of the labels in a lot of our products. We have toxins called organotins. These are tin-based synthetic chemicals associated with designer handbags. Who knew toxins could be found in your purse? Wallpaper, vinyl blinds and floor tiles, PVC products. Phthalates, which are plasticizers and fragrance fixtures, which are prevalent in air fresheners, cosmetics, and personal care products. Oftentimes these are not on the labels. So a lot of times manufacturers put phthalates in their products and they don't even have to put it on the labels. So we don't even know, even if sometimes if we're reading the labels. BPA is found in plastic bottles. PFOA is in Teflon and Scotchgard products. So these are just some of the things that are making us fat. So how does it do it? Obesogens take normal fat cells and cause it to accumulate even more fat. So fat cells become fatter. Our bodies store toxins and fat to protect us, right? So we want to keep the toxins away from our major organs so that it doesn't cause them to shut down. So our fat cells become fatter. So the most alarming thing that we're seeing is in our babies, in our unborn babies. When mom has these synthetics in her, they can cross the placental barrier. Now, babies have many different cells that can become blood cells, skin cells, hair cells, brain cells, heart cells, all these different things, all these different types of cells. Well, when mom has these synthetic chemicals inside her body, it can change the destiny of her unborn baby cells to become fat cells. So instead of a brain cell, maybe it's becoming a fat cell. Instead of a heart cell, maybe it's becoming a fat cell. So our fetuses are becoming destined to accumulate weight more during their lives. So can you see how toxins in our home can lead to a whole host of health issues, including obesity? So it's a great thing that we can have weight loss with essential oils. So one of the ways that we know that essential oils work, a lot of us know in our Essential Oils 101 classes that we can take, we pass around a styrofoam cup and put a drop of lemon oil on it, and just within a couple minutes the lemon oil will eat completely through the styrofoam cup. And this demonstrates very effectively how petrochemicals can be neutralized and eaten away by these essential oils without doing any harm to our natural cells. So I love that many of us have experienced weight loss with essential oils. There's many different protocols. Citrus oils have been found especially good at digesting petrochemicals. And so as we mentioned before, some natural things are great at killing some germs, but how are we going to go after all these toxic and synthetic man-made chemicals? Essential oils are perfect for that. And because these petrochemicals do many things in addition to weight loss, if we use essential oils, a lot of times we do realize weight loss because it's neutralizing these toxins that are building up in our bodies and flushing them out. So bioaccumulation, is this a mechanism for disease? Can chemicals we place on our floors be a problem for us? You know, a lot of people might clean their floors with bleach thinking that, I'm killing all the germs, I'm making this a safe environment for my babies. But most of us know that anything we put on our skin is absorbed into our cells. We use birth control patches and nicotine patches and the dizziness or motion sickness patches. How do those work? The chemicals go right through the skin, right? Well, what happens when our babies are crawling through that bleach or that Pine Sol? Is it going to be absorbed into their bodies? Is it a problem if we smell its presence? We can have an entire effect from just smelling an essential oil because it goes in through our nose and goes into our lungs and then circulates throughout our bloodstream. So same thing happens when we breathe in these toxic chemicals, they're going right to our bloodstream. Of course, it's a problem if we absorb it through our skin. Again, our green alternative's enough. We talked about that man has also created superbugs that a lot of modern medicine is not having an answer to. Essential oils are being studied for their effects against a lot of these superbugs and these super germs. So green alternatives stop the risks, but is there something better beyond green that can counter the effects of bioaccumulation? And what if that solution gave added benefits to support our health? So One, we have to eliminate the risks by taking green actions. We have to identify the toxins that we have in our home that we use every single day that are building up in our bodies. Two, we have to counter the effects of these bioaccumulations with the addition of Young Living essential oils. These are the only things that I know of that can go in and neutralize the toxins and pull them out of our bodies. And with Young Living essential oils, we can gain additional health supportive benefits. So, our last paradigm, I can't afford the oils. They are expensive, right? Well, today we're going to talk about 3 ways you can afford Young Living green products. A lot of times people in Young Living report significantly reduced medical expenses like doctor's office copays, prescription medications, urgent care, and ER visits. There's a program called the Essential Rewards we'll talk about. And when we share with others, Young Living can send us thank you checks just for helping other people. So number 1, how can we save money? Let's look at medical expenses. Now here is one of our neighbors, our friends and neighbors. This is a 3-year-old boy. He was playing around one evening, as most boys do. He fell over and hit his lip on the floor, on the tile floor, and his teeth pierced right through, clear through his lip. He had a hole through his entire lip. So this was after 1 application of essential oil. So mom came down, knocked on the door and said, hey, can you help? And it was bleeding a lot and had some issues with it. I said, well, if you take him to the hospital across the street, doctor's probably going to do some stuff and, do some germ killing stuff and put some stitches in. She said, Dad said no stitches. He's seen your essential oils work. He wants, to see what they can do. I said, well, this isn't Essential Oils 101. This isn't 1 application. I said, you have to, agree to use a whole bunch of essential oils very frequently and go to the doctor, go to the hospital if necessary. And they said, fine. So this was just after 48 hours. This was pretty impressive. I'm so glad that mom took pictures of this because sometimes we in Young Living, we know we live in a world of miracles, but I would have thought, okay, am I misremembering details? Am I exaggerating? But this was mom's testimony just 4 hours or 48 hours later. And this is her son's lip just 1 week later. And she said, she saved us a trip to the ER and over $1,000 in medical bills when our son fell off the chair and built right through his lower lip. He had a 2-inch gash on the inside of his mouth and a 1/2 inch on the outside. A week later, the outside of his mouth is completely healed, no scarring, and the inside is barely noticeable, and no stitches. So to be clear, this isn't Essential Oils 101. It took me a very long time to work up to this level of confidence, but this is the power and the potential that these oils have, especially in the case of emergency, if we one day find ourselves with lack of access to proper medical care. So how am I going to save money? Well, perhaps in medical expenses, less or no time off work for sick days. I know my husband and I, and for our family, we pretty much don't get sick anymore, and less or no missed school days due to sickness. Sorry, kids. So do you spend at least $100 each month from your household budget on medicine, personal care, and cleaning products? So most people do. Some people say, oh no, I don't spend that much. But if you think about it, the shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, all your cleaning products, the 409 and the Windex, and the Advil and the Motrin and the ibuprofen and the Neosporin, and your Glade plugins, and all these different things, if you add them all up, when we've worked with people one-on-one, most people do. Most people, this $100 is already in their household budget. So we never have to buy any of these things ever again. We have been able to replace all of these with just the products in the Young Living Everyday Oils kit. We also never have to buy any of these products ever again. They cluttered up our bathroom and kitchen sinks, and they were toxic, and they were quite a danger to all of our precious little kiddos. So we never have to buy these again. We've been able to replace them with all these Young Living products. So synergy, it means the interaction of 2 or more agents or forces so that their combined effect is greater than the sum of their individual effects. So basically, if we take 1 stock horse, it has the ability to pull about 3,000 pounds. So if we take 2 horses You would think that, 3,000 times 2 would equal about 6,000, right? But if we look at the synergy of 2 horses working together, we're looking at about 9,000 pounds. So like 3 times the pulling power with just adding 1 more horse. Now, if we take 4 horses, you might think 9 times 4 is 28. We have over 30,000 pulling pounds. The more horses we add, the more benefits we get. So it's kind of like if you have 1 horse, that's kind of like our Everyday Oils kit. A lot of people choose to start with the Everyday Oils kit. And we see great benefits. But can you imagine what happens when we identify and remove the toxins from our home and then add in the thieves line? So now we don't only have 1 + 1 = 2, now we have exponential power and benefit and the synergy of using more products together. And look what happens when we add in the supplement line as well. We no longer have the power of 3, but we have exponential power when we're using all of the lines that Young Living offers. So we really want to increase our horsepower by incorporating all the different Young Living product lines. So how can we do that? It's wonderful that Young Living has this Essential Rewards program. That's our customer loyalty program. So you can get 10 to 20% back in free products every single month, buying products that you already buy anyway. This $100 is in your budget anyway for most people. So again, we're not going to spend, an extra $100. It's money that we're already spending anyway. And so we're going to just trade out the toxins and the heavy metals and the sickness and disease, and we're going to just use that to invest in our health. And we can also save on gasoline. I love that I just put my order in every month, and the products are delivered to our doorstep every single month. It's like Christmas every single month when our Young Living order comes. And so I love that with the Essential Rewards product, or the Essential Rewards program, we don't have to do this. We don't have to make these sweeping changes all at once. We might want to start with the Everyday Oils kit, where most people do, and then as our shampoo runs out, next month, maybe we'll add that into our order. And maybe as our toothpaste and mouthwash runs out the following month, maybe we'll add that the next month. So as we're using up the toxic products in our home, we're just replacing them with safe and natural products from Young Living and getting the most benefit and the most bang for our buck. So choice number 3, how can I afford these? Well, we can help those we know and love to go green and get the toxins out of their homes. I love that I can help them save lots of money at the same time. I can help them get healthier, and Young Living sends me a thank you check. So I get to help other people. I have the benefit and that feel-good feeling of truly helping other families with their health, their time, and their finances. And Young Living says thank you. And it's allowed my husband and me a full-time income because of it. And maybe that's not for everybody. Some people just want to get their $100 a month every month paid for. And so that's all some people do. They just help, maybe 2 people a month get started and their $100 a month is paid for. Or some people just, want their car paid for, their mortgage paid for. And so they just share with enough people to get that paid for. But I love that we're able to get our products paid for just by sharing what has worked so phenomenally well for our family. And of course, with a home-based business, you can have a lot of tax advantages, and we're not going to get into them here, but you can save even more money that way. It's pretty phenomenal. So most of us here listening, we're already members. We know that we can get started with this premium starter kit. For those who may not know, it's $150, and it now comes with Joy, a diffuser, and Stress Away, and a lot of other goodies. And most people on our team give away this free reference guide with the purchase of this premium starter kit. So if you're interested, get back with the person who introduced you to this or who showed you, shared this video with you. As always, the information contained herein has not been evaluated by the FDA and is not intended to diagnose, prescribe, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and is for educational purposes only. Please seek the advice of a licensed healthcare provider for any condition that may require medical or psychological attention. I'm not a doctor, but I've done extensive research to start taking control of my own health and the health of my family, and I highly, highly encourage others to do the same. So there you have it, my friends. Beyond Green, cost-effective, safe. Truth is now here. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here this evening. Please comment here below if you're watching here live, and if you're on Cherie and Janae's Young Living Legacy team. Comment here with something you might have learned here tonight, something that you didn't know, maybe something that you'd like to look into, or that might go on your order next month that you might be considering, or some new information that you learned here. If you have any questions, get back with the person who invited you here. As always, have a wonderful evening, and we will look forward to talking with you soon. Have a good night, everyone.